clap for your director of operations and feel the power. It's a new day. Yes, it is. And your boy is back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 319 of the Hoots podcast. I've been on a month-long hiatus, but I'm back, and I'm thrilled to be here, getting to talk about all the topics in professional wrestling today. It's going to be great. So always looking forward. We have a lot to go over this week. Your questions, of course, coming in for the Good Brothers Q&A session, though we really do need to think about changing that name of that session because we haven't seen anything from the Good Brother in a while. We'll, of course, talk about this week in WWE. We'll talk a little bit about the G1 and what's been going on with that and all that stuff. And then we're going to get into our flagship segment. And I'm telling you what, we'll get into this when we get into it, but we may have to stop our flagship segment because this product is becoming unwatchable. It's got to the point where like I can't watch this anymore. But of course I am not alone. I am joined by the Jimmy Smith to my Byron Saxton, the Pat McAfee to my Michael Cole, I don't know. I'm not going to say that I'm Josh Matthews because that would just be an insult to everybody. But he is the one, only the brains behind the show, the notorious and nefarious Brother Adam, Joshie Lopez. Josh, what's going on, my man?
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Yes, I will acknowledge the Jimmy Smith recommendation. Me and him have beards that we both need to delete.
I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, it's true.
Glad to be here for another show. Glad to have you back, Brother Carter, ready to rock and roll as we're just about a week away from the Slam of the Summer in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. We'll get into that. And I think it's been kind of like a little tradition that we have here on the Hoots podcast. I can't talk today. The Hoots podcast, where, Brooke Carter, we would have the week before the big pay-per-view show, and I would call it the road to this show, the road to that show. It's kind of a nice little tradition that we have here on the Hoots podcast because a lot of what we do outside of what the hell is wrong with AEW is provide substance and context in the world of professional wrestling, especially WWE, because it seems like people rather dish out hot takes than actually watch a show they claim to be experts about. So I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad you had your adventures, not only Disney World, got all your extra stuff outside of music and your cool adventures back in the third world nation known as Canada, and
right.
Loonies, Tim Hortons, and your Robin Strabowski's, and all of them, and Barney too, because he's actually Canadian as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, listen, I'm a big fan of Barney Stinson and everything he's doing. Absolutely, like it's good stuff. That's good shit, pal. Kind of thing. No, it's good. What's that?
I was going to say this episode of the Hoots podcast is going to be legend. Wait for it. Dairy.
Hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second word of that is dairy. Oh,
yes. Make sure to follow Brother Carter on Twitter, by the way, at Derek Stoughton. Make sure to check out his work at DerekStoughton.com and WrestlingRumors.net as well. Only thing I'll plug for me, since you're in the hosting chair today.
I am the host.
All I have to plug is if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, made it easier for everybody. Just hit me up at Josh Lopez Media and check out ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com.
Great, fantastic, and we'll plug those things a couple more times throughout the show. But as we do each week, we're going to start with the Good Brothers Q&A. We appreciate when you send us your questions every week. Again, if you do have a question or anything that you'd like us to talk about, it doesn't have to be wrestling related. It can be sports related. It can be life related. You can ask us any questions that you want. We're open books here. Get in your questions every week to Josh. Again, you can hit him up on the social medias as he mentioned below. and he will be more than happy. By the way, we are still trying to free the Hoots podcast because I don't understand why Twitter does that. Though apparently Tony Khan goes after people too, because anybody that bashes his product, he seeks to block them on Twitter. That happened with our friends over at well, they're not our friends, but I appreciate the contact on AEW botches. But there was something I was like, no, we gotta block that because God forbid anybody hate our product. We'll get into that when we get into our flagship segment. I was in another group chat with some friends, and I just said in there how much I couldn't stand it. And I'm like, I'm almost to the point where I can't watch this product anymore. And I just tell you, like, the kickback, I got like, oh my God, how dare you say anything bad about our product? It's just, we'll get into it when we get in there. But anyways, be sure to hit us up with your questions, and I will turn things over to Josh to take us through our questions this week.
So you mean to tell me we're going to get a DMCA strike today? Is that what's going to go down?
Probably, because we just said to screw AEW, so therefore Tony Khan is going to be like, oh my God, no, we can't do that.
Yeah, we got to watch out for VR goggles herself, Aubrey Edwards, because she's into that stuff too. Little nugget for those that don't know, Aubrey or Brittany or whatever you want to call her, Aubrey Edwards is also in charge of the digital content in AEW and helping out with the video games and the distributions, if you will, of all bill of goods wrestling. All right, questions. We got questions this week from the good brother Chris Aletta, as usual. I always want to give a shout to him because he's really helped make this segment what it was. You know, it's pretty cool that we have our own Q&A segment, and it's like people actually want to know our opinions on different stuff, sports related, life related, and stuff like that. So we got questions from Chris. You can find me on Twitter at xteens1124x on Twitter. He starts off with an interesting question here, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Bro Carter. Do you believe in time healing? Like, do you believe in healing and in the process of it?
Absolutely. There's an old saying that says that time heals all wounds, and it's true. I was listening to, as I was flying back from Canada, the motherland, place where there's ketchup chips and poutine and Tim Hortons and 2-4s and all the amazing Hawkins cheesies. Those things are incredible. All the amazing things. I was listening to an audiobook. It's called Unfuck Yourself. And it's I'm gonna look up the author's name. I think it's like Gary. Hold on, I'm looking at it. Like Gary Francis Howard, I think is the author. Gary John Bishop, excuse me. Yeah, it's called Unfuck Yourself, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life by Gary John Bishop. Highly recommend. Definitely check that out. And he's talking about, there's the chapter I was listening to is a chapter called I Got This. And he was talking about, like, we all go through ups and downs, and we have the ups are really up and the downs are really, really down. And we just feel it, Mm-hmm. But two things he talked about, and I've and I knew this, but it was good to hear it again. Number one, it's just like, if you think back to where you were in your life and you think about some traumatic events that happened in your life, whether it was, a loss of a parent or a loss of a job or like where you couldn't pay a bill or you were worried about whatever. And now you look back on it and you're like, oh, well, I got through that and now I'm fine. Or you go back and think about things like, God, I was this relationship that I was in or this person I was pursuing. At that time when it didn't work out, you were just gut wrenched. But now you look back and you're like, wow, I'm so happy that didn't work out. Like, oh, that was a mess. So it's, so it's just like time does change things. And, you have to live in it for a while. And it's true. But don't ever be afraid to ask for help. That's another thing too. Don't ever be afraid to reach out to somebody and to talk or to, start seeing a therapist and stuff like that. I've mentioned on this program before, I've started to see a therapist this year, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. It helped me through a lot of things and kind of helped put things in perspective for me. So that's all good. So, but yes, to answer the question, Chris, yes, time is the ultimate healer. And, after you go through some of the experiences, you're like, I got through it and it's going to be fine, which means that when something similar happens down the road, I can get through it again. And so it's going to be, the other thing I'll say is it's amazing how many times we look back on our lives and think, wow, that thing that I was so upset about is kind of insignificant now, So I think if you just keep those things in mind, and again, it doesn't help in the present. And I certainly understand that. But it could be something that kind of just helps you and something you can latch onto through the future. So I absolutely believe in time healing. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I believe in just healing in general, regardless of what situation is. I think, like you said, time does heal all wounds. I also look at, like you were mentioning, if you can look back at things that maybe you wanted at first, or things that you put all your heart into, especially in a relationship point of view, and you think about it a couple years later, like I have, and I'm like, I'm in a better state. I'm in a better state of mind within my heart and my soul than I was 2.5 years ago. And the lessons I learned from the pain that I went through, and
Right.
like not turning back, not thinking about it, um, not, I think a lot of us in a lot of ways, and this is this truth, like even in healing, it's not a process that's perfect, and it's sometimes it's not morally correct either. I think a lot of
Right.
us could agree in our times when we're off air, just in our alone time. Sometimes in healing, you kind of reach out towards the thing that has. Sometimes you reach out to the pain that's hurting you without even
Hmm.
realizing it. Maybe you're listening to a song and then you start reminding yourself of somebody.
Sure.
Like, let's keep this context of relationships. That happens a lot. And maybe you watch a movie and then that pain comes back, or whatever. Maybe a particular day comes by that it was sentimental to you and the person that you're with, and that could spark up things. This healing process is not an overnight fix.
Right.
It's if you want to go about it the right way. And I think the main thing I can express to you, Chris, and everybody that's watching or listening this week is that I think the true essence of healing is forgiving yourself. Um,
Sure.
I feel like even in situations where you feel like you got done wrong, or maybe you're not in the wrong in the particular situation you're in, I think it's best to forgive yourself um,
Mm.
for their flaws, for that person that hurts you. Forgive yourself for the wasted energy you put into that situation. Um,
Right.
I think in life we all go through things, and we have to take lessons with every sense of conflict that comes our way, even if we're not in the wrong with it, and just understand that, hey, nobody's gonna allow you to heal but yourself. You can't blame somebody for the pain that you're dealing with unless you do something about it to fix it within your heart. It's not on them to heal you, it's on you to heal you.
Right.
So that's what I said about that.
That's great. Good question, Chris. That's awesome. Good discussion.
Great question, Chris. Are you attending the Impact shows in Chicago?
All right.
Impact.
Now for something completely different. Yeah, because we were
Yes.
talking about great things, and now we're gonna go to something tragic, which is Impact.
That's one transition question to ask, man.
Woo!
um, I'll say this: Impact has done a far better job recently presenting actual wrestling than a lot of other TV promotions. I'll give them credit where credit's due. They've been putting out a lot of good shows recently. You know what, Chris? I was actually interested in going, but recently with my situation and everything, I've been just trying to hold back on a couple things. Like I would love to go out. They're having like a pay-per-view on August 12th here at Cicero Stadium, which is not far from my house. I actually played a couple of high school jazz competitions at that venue, which brought back a lot of good memories. It's pretty cool. I was supposed to go to Cicero Stadium a few weeks ago for an MLW show. This was my first time to watch an MLW show, Brett Carter. And
Oh,
then
nice.
they canceled the event like a month beforehand. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I got my refund and everything, but I was like really bummed out because I wanted to see MLW for the first time.
Mhm.
But I want to go to Impact. They're having the pay-per-view, and then they're having TV tapings on the Saturday, which would be the 13th. And
Hmm.
I wanted to go, but I gotta be smart with my money. So unless it was something, if I got like a press pass or something, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go to the Impact show.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It would have been cool. Like I've seen Impact in Chicago before. Do you remember when Bully Ray turned on Jeff Hardy and joined the Aces and Eights
Yes.
and that whole angle with him and Hogan and stuff?
Yes.
I went to the Impact show right after that. That's when like all the Aces and Eights came together at once. By the way, Aces and Eights is an underrated faction. I will not
100%.
hear otherwise.
Didn't they reunite or come back recently?
Yeah, they had Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff on there with D'Lo Brown, which I thought was pretty cool because they haven't been on TV in a while. But yeah, I was an Aces and Eights fan. I got ridiculed during that time period because this is when I got my start into the broadcasting school. It was right around that time period, and I'm not ashamed to say one of my old profile pictures on Facebook was me with an Aces and Eights cap. So I'm down with the Aces and Eights.
Me too.
Maybe another time, but I'd love to see Impact down the road sometime soon.
Awesome.
All right, let's get to the next one here. He says, your favorite match from the G1 so far? Good question. There's only been 3 shows so far this year, Brother Carter. 3 shows so far in this tour. I did one yesterday morning. It's hard to say because, with New Japan, a lot of the matches kind of feel the same in the way they're wrestled and the style and a lot of that. So it's kind of hard to differentiate one from another. I'll say the ones that stood out the most to me have been Will Ospreay and El Phantasmo for night 1, which is a D block match. I'll explain the whole G1 thing to you later on, Brother Carter, but basically they had 28 wrestlers separated into 4 blocks.
Okay.
The winners of the blocks will fight each other in the semifinals, goes to the finals. You know the rest. So that's how we do the G1 this year. And what other one stood out to me? I really enjoyed the Ishii Taichi match, which was on this past Sunday. Even though my guy Ishii lost, I thought that was a fantastic match. Also, give shout out to Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenta and Naito and Goto from yesterday morning. For me, I'd probably say my favorite match of the G1 so far is either Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenta or Okada and Jeff Cobb, which was the main event for night 1. But yeah, Bro Carter, 18 shows on this tour, which concludes on August 18th. This is the biggest G1 they're doing this year because it's the 50th anniversary of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I'm curious to see how they're going to space this out. And it's kind of different from G1s where one night would be all A block matches and then the other event would be all B block matches. Basically, every event, since there's 4 blocks, you have an A, B, C, and D match on the card. So it's one of the more unique tournament tours I've been covering so far. So there's a lot of interesting action coming up this weekend, and we'll expand about that a little later on the show.
Great.
You never watched the G1 before, right?
I've never watched a G1. No. But I hear about it. I hear it's pretty cool.
It's an interesting concept if you're like into like really good like technical wrestling and stuff like that. I say you should check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about these wonderful, superstars like Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay, and I hear, I didn't get to watch Forbidden Door because I ain't giving AEW a dime of my money, but I hear that that hell, even Ospreay tried to manage to make pockets look good, so that's that's so or was it no? Yeah, because he yeah. It was Ospreay and pockets because it was Zack Sabre Jr. and Castagnoli, but yeah, no, it sounds like a really interesting concept and something that I'll need to check out at some point.
Yeah, and let's give a shout out to our guy Referee Tony at the Heat Pod at Referee Tony S. He told me he's looking forward to your guys' upcoming discussion about Okada and Omega, the greatest match ever.
I need to reach out to him because I want to see it, because people have said for years that this is the greatest professional wrestling match of all time, and I'm like, okay, I want to see it.
Yes,
and I'm sure, what? If I'm going to be honest, Josh, I bet it's a very good match, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good match. Without all the ancillary stuff that comes with Harpo McFingerfuck, there's some times where his matches are good. I just wish the jazz hands and all the extra shit he does goes away. But that's we'll say that for later on because I heard he's coming back soon. Anyways, next question. Last night we had the ESPYs, and I think it's a good time to talk about this. This is an interesting question for Chris. Your top 5 moments in wrestling for 2022 so far.
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Well, I mean, I will say this from the outset. As soon as they announced that they were having an ESPN moment of SB or an SB from WWE moment of the year, the first thing I thought of was the one that won, and that was the return of Cody Rhodes. That to me, that has been my moment of the year. It's going to be the moment of 2022. It would have been even bigger. Yes, it would have been even bigger if he didn't get hurt. Because I think, could you imagine what Cody Rhodes would be doing at SummerSlam after having the briefcase? And oh God, it would be unbelievable. But it's to this day. And when Cody Rhodes is back in 2023, I think he's going to have an unbelievable 2023. So, but yeah, for me, definitely, I kind of like the moments that they had, the 4 finalists with Cody Rhodes, the Undertaker's retirement speech. The Big E cash-in was okay. I wouldn't say it was a moment of the year so far. It was cool, but I wouldn't put it on stuff. Austin stunning everybody. That was great. Yes. That was hilarious. And his match with Kevin Owens. God, what else? I'll go after look, but what do you have so far, Josh?
Of course, I'll put Cody Rhodes up there. Not only the best WWE moment of the year, but it's the top wrestling moment of the year so far.
Yes,
it's that close. For me, I think Bianca and Becky's match, where Bianca won the Raw Women's title from at WrestleMania this year, was a big moment for me. I think I really thought that match really solidified Bianca, excluding Charlotte, of course, for the conversation. I really think that match really put Bianca at the top tier pedestal of women's wrestling, and it's like you could have your social media darlings, and we all know who that is, and we can claim gimmicks and stuff, but when it comes to who's the EST and the boss and all that, that's Bianca Belair. She is a star all the way around, and there's no denying that. I mean, if I could look at outside of WWE, I think, of course, our feelings AEW is, I think having the Forbidden Door show in itself is a good moment for wrestling. To have that at the United Center was pretty cool, and how they pulled that off. So I would say that. Do you have one, Burgard?
Yeah, CM Punk return. That's a pretty big moment, and that's feelings aside about Punk, that was awesome, and that just the energy that he brings, that was absolutely terrific. So I thought that was great. Another one that what's that?
Yeah, Punk is up there. It's either him and Cody was my top 2 moments. Yeah,
that was awesome. Another one is when John Cena came back at Money in the Bank.
Yes,
that was that. Well, because it was the second event back with fans, the first pay-per-view with fans, and so like that was one of the loudest pops. And I went back and watched it again just to see, like, was it just because COVID was ending and stuff like that? But no, that pop when Cena came out was unbelievable. It was so good.
Yes. Let's see what I want.
Here's a question, Josh. I like this one too. What do we think is going to be a great moment in for the remainder of the year? What great moments do you think could you see happening in the remainder of the year?
I can see Randy Orton coming back and turning on Riddle.
Yep.
That's the first one off the top of my head. I can see Bayley coming back. I think that'll probably be a good moment whenever that goes down for her.
Yep.
And let's see.
You know what other moment I thought was really cool, Josh, too? And I wouldn't put it in my top, but it was cool. But seeing Liv Morgan win a championship was really cool. And that was really great, too. And I'm so happy for her and what she's doing. I thought that was great. Let's see. What else could be a good... if it happens, if MJF comes back, That will be a great moment too, whenever that happens with whatever company. Even if he goes back to AEW, that'll still be a great moment because I love seeing MJF.
We're almost 2 months into this, and they think dragging this out is a good idea. Yeah.
Great.
But by the way, when Punk won the title at Money in the Bank, he came back a week and a half later. There wasn't this extended layoff. All right, let's get to the next question here. Should Impact do the Bound for Glory series heading into the pay-per-view? I don't know why they stopped doing that. I think it's kind of nice where a company has like a tournament type of thing or the Royal Rumble, if you will, to get to major matches at your pay-per-views. I don't know why they stopped doing that over the last couple years, because that was a big feature they would do every year, or where you have like, I don't know, 8 matches, kind of similar to the G1, and whoever has the most points in the end will fight the champion at the pay-per-view. I don't know why they stopped doing that.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching Impact, or when it was TNA, the Bound for Glory series was kind of cool. Again, a great way to establish who would be challenging for the world title. Is that still their WrestleMania is Bound for Glory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. By the way, for those who are listening, if they do a Bound for Glory series, my pick for that would be Steve Maclin to win that tournament. Steve Maclin used to be part of WWE as part of the Forgotten Sons. Steve Cutler, he's really reinvented himself. He's done a lot of really good work in Impact, and I think he deserves that opportunity. Or, maybe you can have Eddie Edwards finally get his Bound for Glory title match that he hasn't got in years. So you can go that route as well. So that's a good question, Chris. Let's see what else you got here. Oh, Brian Carter, are you interested in inquiring yourself on buying Death Before Dishonor coming up this Saturday on pay-per-view?
I am not, but I will say, if I can find a stream and I'm not doing anything else, I might watch it just to watch FTR versus the Briscoes, because we're going to give credit where credit is due. I believe FTR is, and this will be a hot take, but I believe FTR is the best tag team in the world right now. I'd even put them slightly above the Usos, even though I love the Usos. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we know how much we throw up our hands to the ones, but I've got FTR as the best tag team in the world right now. And I've never seen the Briscoes wrestle, but every indication I've read says they are a fantastic team. So, and a fantastic wrestler. So a 2 out of 3 falls match, I bet that will be really good. So I hope I get a chance. If I can, I'll check it out. But to purchase it, no, I will not be purchasing Death Dishonor. But we'll go over that card in a bit, Josh, because there's a couple matches on there that I'm actually intrigued by. I think Mercedes Martinez and Serena Deeb could be good too.
Yeah, Chris, I saw your question. You wanted the predictions for that show. We'll save that for what those were at the AEW.
Great.
Yeah. They're having the show in Lowell, Massachusetts. Or what was it? Worcester. Every time I think about Massachusetts or Boston, it reminds me of when I went for the Berkeley National Jazz Festivals, and I got called to spit at the airport by an old lady. The racist capital of the world. It's not down south, it's Boston. Let's go to the next question here. This is an interesting one. Do you think it's getting more clear that Ricky Starks is going to be one of the guys who jumps to WWE in the future?
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, 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 yes. That's actually one thing that I put on my notes and we'll talk about it in our segment. But Ricky Starks needs to abandon ship and get to WWE as fast as he can. He's got potential. Hell, he can take over Roderick Strong's place in Diamond Mine or something like that, because Roderick Strong apparently wants out. Fine. Go be with your friends and be relegated to nothing and get injured, 2 weeks in because of Tony Clown's wrestling style. But right. I think Ricky Starks would be great in WWE. He needs to abandon ship because he has potential. He's got a good look. He can talk. He can move. So, yes, Chris, I think Ricky Starks needs to go to WWE.
Ricky Starks is good. It's just a shame that another homegrown talent is relegated to fighting fucking circus freaks television, and it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, who the hell? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now he has to go up against Dan Clausen.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into it.
That's the wrap for Chris's questions this week. We'll give him a shout out. Great questions as always, my man.
Where can we follow Chris?
You can follow Chris on Twitter if you like at XTeamZaletta24X on Twitter.
Great.
On the Twitter machine. You can follow our next set of questions at Main Event Swerve, Mike Rubio. Lovely lad that we got to meet in New Orleans when I went down to hang out with Brody Carter for WrestleMania 34. Yeah, that was 34.
Yeah, 34. Yes.
Yes. Great time hanging out with Brody Carter. We got to meet Mike down there. We finally got to meet B-Rob in person.
Oh. His honey is still not very good.
Shout out to B-Rob.
Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. Check it out.
Yeah, Rob's the man. He does a lot of great work. You guys should check it out. Here's Mike's questions for this week. Hey, Josh, here are some questions for you this week. You watch Level Up, so you've probably seen most of Kiana Jade's TV matches. What did you think of her being in the Final Four of the Battle Royal this week, and what do you think is next for her? Well, Brett Carter, I know you haven't had the time to really catch up on NXT 2.0 and stuff like that, but as much people opine and whine and bitch about the black and gold, or as I like to say, ROH 2.0 of era of NXT, for being honest. There's a lot of upcoming talents that I think has some potential to themselves that I think Kiana James has to herself. She's pretty talented from what I see in the ring. She has a look. I mean, the waterfall is good. She gets the waterfall seal of approval, of course. But for me, I think her character should be interesting because she's a heel who claims that she has all the analytics to be her opponents, which I think is kind of fun. She has the school teacher glasses and the school teacher outfit and stuff. I'm surprised she doesn't come out with like a ruler, like this when she makes an entrance and stuff like that. But I liked what I've seen so far. You are correct. I do cover NXT Level Up. NXT Level Up with Nigel McGuinness and Sudhir Shah. I'm surprised they still air the extra shows after SmackDown. I understand why they have the content, so you get a lot of the PC younger towns who are still in development. I don't like calling wrestlers green, so that's just the thing for me. I don't like calling wrestlers green, so I'm talking about the more recently signed PC Performance Center wrestlers. That's a place for them to hone their craft and get some TV experience. So, I liked what I seen from her. I was surprised she was in the Final Four. I will tell you, Brother Carter, as we're talking here, you should check out that Women's Battle Royal from this week. It was pretty good. Shout out to Zoe Stark, who made her return from torn ACL this week.
Nice.
8-month recovery, and she looked fantastic. She came back. She won the tournament. Not tournament. She won the Battle Royal. She's now the new number one contender to face Mandy Rose. Speaking of sealed approval,
but Mandy Rose. The few times I haven't got to see her, Mandy Rose is killing it in NXT. She is fantastic. She's reinvented herself for sure. I can't if she gets another chance on Raw and SmackDown, I look out. That's going to be awesome.
I think it's time for her and her group to go out to Raw or SmackDown. Yeah.
Okay, well then, and I always have to ask this question then, Josh. If you bring up Toxic Attraction, as we know, the women's division is getting a little bit crowded, both on Raw and SmackDown. So, who goes? If you bring them up, like not everyone, we don't want to run into the AEW problem where nobody gets TV time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing. We got, there's a lot of discussion this week about tag team titles, and the only thing that matters in professional wrestling is Sasha Banks and Naomi, and the stupid topic that'll never go away. Again, for everybody that's clamoring for women's IC titles or women's TV titles and stuff, unless you're having a full length all women's brand, and that's gonna open up another can of worms because you'd be like, oh, this is another example of WWE sexist where they only want male guys on Raw and SmackDown, and they just push the women to the side. It's like it can't win, you know.
Right.
I think more than anything, there needs to be one women's champion in WWE. That's just how I see it. I mean, there's more competition in NXT. They do a lot more storylines than they do on the main roster. But it's an interesting conversation that maybe we can have sometime down the road. But I think for me, if you want to have more feuds and more grudge feuds and more for the women, like everybody's clamoring for, I honestly believe you need an all women's show to actually put it out there and do it properly. So that I might be wrong. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but at the same time, if you have an all women's show, that's adding to more programming to watch in a market that's already pretty saturated. You know, you've got Raw, you got SmackDown, you got NXT, you got AEW, you've got ROH, you've got Impact, you got Dynamite, you got Rampage, you got whatever they're doing with ROH. You know, so it's just if you add another show, you're essentially adding more content for wrestling fans and in a market that's already pretty saturated. So it's hard, man. There's no, because I agree with you. I'd love to see more grudge feuds in the women's division that aren't for titles. You know, like you could see Becky Lynch and Asuka could have a great rivalry, and they already do, but it doesn't have to be for a title. You know, it could be just them doing the, you know, so I don't know what the answer is, but yeah, it's an interesting discussion. We'll have to talk about it at some point.
Well, you know, we all need more of Lacey Evans. Holy shit,
hell
man.
Yeah. We'll get into that. We'll get into that when we get into this week in WWE. But yes, agreed. She's wonderful. She gets the salute.
Yes. Next question for Mike here. He says, Tiffany Stratton. That's the tweet. I'm in agreement with that as well. More importantly, though, she has improved a lot, but does she get the women's title in the next year? I believe so, yes. I do believe that Mandy Rose's title reign will come to an end sometime soon. I wouldn't say the next takeover special or whatever they call it now, but I don't believe Mandy Rose is walking into next WrestleMania weekend as the NXT Women's Champion. So you have either your Zoe Starks of the world or your Cora Jades of the world. I know she just turned heel, but if I look at the running of who could be the NXT Women's Champion, it's either Zoe Stark, Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, or Tiffany Stratton. If I could go off the top of my head. And Tiffany's very I don't think she gets enough credit for what she does in the ring. I think she's very talented for herself. And yeah, she's doing the whole Barbie girl gimmick and whatever, but she's very talented, and I liked what I've seen so far as her in-ring stuff is concerned. So yeah, I don't see why she cannot be a women's champion by the end of the year. That's a great question. All right. Next one, another one about NXT. Which rising star will win their respective NXT/NXT Women's Championship first? Jordan Devlin or Nikita Lyons? Jordan Devlin is one of my favorite guys from NXT UK. He just came down to the United States. That's a great question because you know, there's the one lingering question everybody seems to have about NXT 2.0 is how long will Braun Breaker be down there? And I think Jordan Devlin, even though he's a smaller guy, is definitely worthy of being a world champion. He's just that good, man. He just has some of those performances that are just that good. He calls himself the Irish Ace, and he's that, and then some. He's fantastic to cover. Nikita Lyons has lots to offer, obviously. Very mixed martial arts and very I can see her having a good run on Raw or SmackDown down the road. She's a very interesting talent, to say the least, Nikita Lyons. But I'm going to go with Jordan Devlin because I think he has probably more potential at first hand to get the title. Unless you have a surprise finish where, Nikita is the one who takes the title off of Mandy Rose. We'll have to see how that plays out. Yes.
Got it.
All right. Oh boy, here we go. Is the shark cage the dumbest, most played out stipulation of the past years? If not, what is?
Man. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even call the shark cage a played out thing because we hardly ever use it. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait because God bless. We're gonna have an epic rant here, Josh, about the main event of Dynamite this week and just what. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. We don't see it that often, so that's fine. Overused. I don't know. Maybe Battle Royal, because it seems like that's what wrestling companies go to. We're like, well, we need something to do. Throw everybody together and let them, this kind of jangled mess. And the thing about Battle Royals is they're so predictable. All of the enhancement talent and the people, they get thrown out right away, and then and then you have a few at the end. Sometimes you'll get a surprise and be like, that's cool. So I'm just, and if I think of a different one, but Josh, I'm going to say the Battle Royal is kind of the most outdated concept that's a bit overused.
I got a couple. Anarchy in Arena, Stadium Stampede, all this outlaw mud show where we're brawling all over the damn arena while pandemic is still going on, by the way, which still doesn't make any sense to me. Trios matches. You should scrap any words with tag team when it comes to a tag team match in AEW because there's no rules allowed. The rules are not enforced. The referees are all stupid. All of them. Every single one of them suck in AEW. It's like the blind leading the blind. Like I can't begin to tell you how every goddamn tag team match they have in AEW, even with Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, they can't figure out to keep one guy out of the fucking ring. It's ridiculous. So I think excessive tag team matches on TV shows, outlaw mud shows, gimmicks like Anarchy in Arena, and if I could pick out another one, they don't do this as much, but I've never been like the biggest fan of the beat the clock challenge.
Oh yeah. I don't really like. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I don't really like those either.
Yeah.
I don't like that either.
Ooh, here's an interesting one. Who do you think is Maxine Dupree? I don't know if you've seen this yet, but if it's not Jenny, I've been waiting for you to come back on air to discuss this because I feel like this is right in your wheelhouse. Like this is like Zoolander times 100.
Okay, I've seen some clips of this, and you'll have to explain it to me, Josh. So for our viewers, if you don't know, I've been on a month-long hiatus from wrestling and haven't, I've been on vacation and haven't had a whole lot of time. I've kind of caught clips and did a couple send-ins because of just the horrible crap that was happening with Hell in a Cell and all that stuff. But but no, I don't really. I know Max Dupree. Am I saying that right, Josh?
It's Dupree.
Dupree. Yeah, you got to say it right. I remember you telling Adam Pearce, you got to say it right. It's
correct.
Dupree. Yeah. I don't know. And then isn't like it's not Mace. Isn't Mace one of them? And Mansoor. Gosh, who could the Maxine be? Gosh, I don't know.
It's Massey and Mansoir. That's their names now. Massey and Mansoir.
Who could be that?
I guess we're gonna figure out who Max Dupree's sister is on SmackDown tomorrow night. As we're recording this on a Thursday.
Okay.
It's just a funny comedy gimmick for heels. I gotta admit, I've been crying my ass laughing. Like they literally put on like fashion shows. They do like a walkway type of thing. They did a tennis collection a couple weeks ago, which I know you would be laughing your ass off on that one. Now tomorrow they're doing the summer beach collection.
All
Oh
right.
man. So if it's not Jenny, and if anybody who doesn't know who Jenny is a very fashionista type of gimmick from XUK who's very, very talented. I think she'd be a perfect person for the group. That's a great question because you could see who else is on the women's roster who's not getting TV time. Would it be funny if Shayna Baszler was next to Pre? I'm kidding.
I'll tell you what, Josh, you know and I know you can't do it because it's thing, but the first person that came to me was Dana Brooke because she needs to do something, and we'll get into this week in WWE, but I'm getting to the point, and I might be one of those in the minority here, but this 24/7 thing is starting to run its course. It was fun for a while, and
yes.
it got some great entertaining moments, but I think this thing has run its course. And Dana Brooke is I always have felt for years she's an underutilized talent that could do something great. So maybe Dana Brooke was the first person I thought of.
Sonya Deville.
Wow. Now listen, great waterfall. I mean, great waterfall. My God, Sonya Deville has great waterfall, but I don't know if I could see her transitioning from on-air authority figure to. That'd be hilarious, though.
Yes, it would. I would say Liv Morgan, but she's the SmackDown Women's Champion, so her waterfall is good enough as her as the champion, and her normal satiating realm, if you will. No, but yeah, I think you're gonna kick off it. The funny part is like. You can call him Eli Drake or LA Knight or Max Dupree. This dude is just hilarious in how he conducts himself. It's just the way he enunciates and describes when Massey and Mansois walk down the. Oh,
that's funny.
It's just the concept of having a walkway of a tennis collection. It just pops me. I don't know why. Why a tennis collection? Who still watches that shit? Oh man! All right, let's get to the next question. We got a sports one. Who is more annoying, overhyped team every year? The Packers or the Yankees? Brett Hart, the floor is yours.
Ooh, I mean. Probably the Yankees, just because everyone's like, oh, it's got to be the Yankees, but you can't really say that this year because they're having a great year, and Yankees they're on pace to I think finish number 1 in the league. I mean they're having a great season, and then the Packers. It's hard to say with like overhyped team, but they're always right on the. I mean they're playing for almost They almost make it to the Super Bowl every other year. So it's like, you can't really say they're overhyped because, the last couple of years, they've been really close to playing for a Super Bowl. So I'm going to say the Yankees just for that regard. I know, Josh, I know you hate that, but you can't argue with it. You can't argue with it.
I could argue that because if you getting the participation trophy every year of being in the NFC North doesn't make you a powerhouse. Again, I had to say this. I respect Aaron Rodgers and everything he's done in his career. But again, the last time the Packers were in a Super Bowl, I was a junior in high school. 11 years. And every fucking offseason before training camp. Oh, the Packers are early favorite for the Super Bowl. Oh, I saw this on Get Up this morning. Oh, who's the 3 teams that are gonna have the brightest future in the next 3 seasons? Oh, Packers this, Packer that, Packer this, Packer that. Do we even know Aaron Rodgers is gonna be on the Packers in 3 years? Can we
probably not.
That the Packers are this super powerhouse? Can they win another Super Bowl? Can they even make it to the Super Bowl?
Oh, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. Oh, no, God, no. No, they're not going to make it to the they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. Their team got gutted. I mean, Devontae Adams got traded.
The greatest quarterback that God's ever give. What's the excuse?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Devontae Adams is seeing what I'm seeing and why he wanted to get traded.
I'm telling you, watch out for the Raiders, Josh. Watch out for the Raiders this year.
Yes, they should be pretty good this year. Yes. By the way, shots are going to add a daily since we're talking about the Raiders as well. So,
always hope he's doing well.
As far as the Yankees are concerned, it's kind of the same thing with them. It's like they haven't won a World Series since 2009, and it's like every other year they'll have a season like this where they get super hot and then they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. So I'll have to see more to see if it's going to happen or not. But I am happy a little bit for the Yankees because Anthony Rizzo's on there, and I think he got a raw deal in how he left the Chicago Cubs. I'm not a Cubs fan, but the Cubs did him dirty, and that's unfortunate. But good question, Mike. Just wanted to get to a little sports conversation. It's such blasphemy every fucking year. I have to hear Mike Greenberg. Oh, the Packers are a serious contender. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to go on a scorched earth tour, revenge tour. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers has been trying to get revenge for making the Super Bowl since I was a junior in high school. I would think about this in context. I was 17 at the time when they made the Super Bowl. I'm 28. When's this tour gonna fucking happen? Come on, man.
That's funny. Oh man, yeah. Hey, it's gonna be a fun season, Josh. I don't know about you, Josh, but I am so ready for football to be back. I am just itching for football to be back.
Me too. I've been so indifferent to baseball and the NBA that I just don't care. I've just been waiting for football to start.
Did you watch any of the USFL?
No, I did not, but I heard about it.
Yeah. I'm curious for our listeners, if you watched any of the USFL, hit us up. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on it. I watched it. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't, I think we do need a little bit of a football break. It seems like everyone is just like, gotta have football all year, gotta have football all year, gotta have football. But in the spring, like I like to watch a little more basketball. I like to watch a little bit more, hockey. So because fall, it's football. And you're just immersed in it for like 6 months. So I don't know. That's just me.
Outside of WrestleMania season, the best part of the year is NFL football.
Absolutely.
And I know you're pretty excited because college football is starting this week, right?
Man, it's the first college football games won't be until like the end of August, early September. So we still have about 6 weeks before college football starts. But it's crazy in the world of college sports right now. All this conference realignment and just everybody just trying to get the money, and which of course, I mean, as with everything, it's a business just like anything else. So I'm glad that college athletes have NIL now, so they can start to make money off their name, image, and likeness. I think that's long overdue, and they should be compensated for the revenue that they generate for the universities. You can't really pay them because they lose their amateur status, which I understand. But if they can go out and get deals, I think that's great. You just have to be very careful. I know we're going on a bit of a tangent here, and I'm sorry about that, but you just also have to be very careful because that agents are going to want to start to get their grubby hands on these kids and try to, persuade them and stuff like that. And it just can get real. It can get real tough, especially for kids who just like, a lot of them, they're never going to make it to 98% of college athletes don't turn pro. So these agents are trying to plant these illusions of grandeur into their heads, and they focus more on building the brand than they do of, trying to get better at the product. So you just got to be careful, but I am glad that college athletes can profit off them. But it's crazy in college sports right now, Josh. I don't know how much you follow it, or I know you're not a big college person. But it's just crazy right now.
I usually don't have enough time to catch up with like college basketball or anything because that's like in the middle of WrestleMania season. I'm just like caught up with the wrestling stuff. But I do tend to watch some college football here and there. I have a couple teams that I like. My home base for me, if I had a Chicago team that I root for, is Northwestern.
Right.
And then I picked Northwestern because my mom worked in that area in
Oh,
Bowman,
cool.
Skokie, and
Mhm.
I like the black and purple gear because the Undertaker, of course. So it was easy for me to pick Northwestern on that end. But outside of Chicago, my team that I root for is Georgia.
Go
That's
Dogs.
what I root for.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, and it's tough too, Josh, because when you think of Chicago, you don't really think of a college sports town.
No, it's not.
No, it's a pro sports town, and people there are clamoring for pro sports there.
It's kind of a shame that we have like so many great athletes come out of this city, and this city, whether it's pros, college, or whatever, we can't scout, we can't get players. It's like Chicago's like AEW when it comes to sports. It's like what will go wrong, what could go wrong, will go wrong. The
Oh boy.
Bears suck. Sox are always dealing with drama. The Bulls, they have their history, of course. The Blackhawks are a national embarrassment. Uh, I haven't had a chance to rant on them. I'll do that on another episode, maybe when my guy Sam Piopo comes on, because Blackhawks are a freaking clown show when it comes to hockey now. The Cubs are the Cubs. It's just like one thing after another, and then like I don't recall the last time Illinois made a Final Four. I think it was like '05. I think in basketball. And then the football team is ass. It's sad. Like it's like we had a pity party a couple years ago because Loyola had like their run into basketball,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like Chicago sports is like the cesspool of life. I don't know why I deserve
Wait,
this.
you weren't happy with Fred Hoiberg and the Bulls?
Yeah, just like Jim Boylan too, right? Yeah, we're still trying to get our heads out of Matt Nagy not being our coach anymore too. So let's see how that works out. All right, next question. How might Austin Theory fail to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase? Um, Here's the thing, Brad Carter. It could go either way. I don't think him losing the briefcase affects his character.
No.
Also, I think him getting the briefcase is a good thing for his character and what he's doing right now. I'm loving what he's doing right now. There's a lot of people that hate watching him and that's gonna shit on him because all the stuff that's going on with Vince McMahon, and we're not gonna talk about that stuff because that's not the place for you to talk about that crap. But the Austin Theory stuff, I'm a big fan of his, and I the future is bright for him. But here's the only scenario that I can see him possibly losing out. Unless they find a scenario where they can get one of the titles off of Roman Reigns, I don't know how this dude's gonna pull it off. I know they're teasing it and stuff for SummerSlam Heavy about him coming in and cashing in after the Brock Roman match, but I don't see how it works. What's your thoughts?
I mean, it's after Money in the Bank, and I tweeted this out from the Wrestling Rumors account. Austin Theory is the chosen one. He is going to be in the main event scene for the next 15 years. Like that's Austin Theory is, and honestly, he deserves it. I like Austin Theory. I think you can tell. I mean, he still has a little bit of developing to do, especially with his promo skills. I think they need just a little bit of work. But him getting to work with guys like AJ Styles and Lesnar, and that's only going to help him. So Austin Theory is the chosen one. I think he's terrific. If he's going to cash in, I think he's going to do a failed cash in, honestly, because the only time I could see him cashing in would be after Roman Reigns and the Brock Lesnar match at SummerSlam. Actually, not then. I actually think he's going to try to cash in on Raw the next night with whoever wins the match with SummerSlam next week. And I think it's going to be a failed cash in because I thought about it. Would they really put the title on Austin Theory and have him be the one to defeat Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar? Like, you know, that would be a pretty hard sell for fans. You know, I know Cody getting hurt kind of messed this whole thing up, and I understand that. And I've said this before. I think that they pulled the Brock Lesnar card way too early. The in case of emergency, I think they broke that glass way too early. but I don't know. That could be a tough sell to put the title on him. So I don't know.
Well, here's my thing. And we got Raw coming up this Monday at Madison Square Garden, which is the final Raw before SummerSlam. Roman Reigns will be in the house. I think Brock Lesnar will be there as well. I could see a scenario where Austin, knowing Austin and his character, I could see him possibly doing a tease of the cash in. Now, let's not forget, Theory is fighting Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship at SummerSlam. I could see a total scenario where they start brawling, somebody's laid out, and Theory tries to cash in, and then Lashley gets in his way and puts the hurt lock on him.
Oh,
Don't
sure.
be surprised if you see that on Raw next week, okay? But that'd be pretty interesting, though. You got the New York crowd booing him. Oh, he's going to cash in and ruin the SummerSlam. And then, yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious to see how it plays out, but his future is bright for him. We'll get more into the Brock and Roman stuff in a couple of minutes when we get to WWE stuff. But last question for the Q&A. This is an interesting one here. Have you ever been in a good relationship, but then someone else comes along you have a lot of common with? So you become friends with the new girl, but she starts texting you randomly and really giving you more attention than you expected. He says here, she knows about my girlfriend and respects the relationship, or it seems. So really, how do you stay friends with the new person without screwing up your relationship? So that's the question. The last one here from Mike, and thank you for the question as always. What's your thoughts on that?
My first thought is just be transparent, be honest, don't hide.
Yes.
Just that's the best thing you can do. I mean, if you really feel that you're with your girlfriend and you think that this is your person, but another, listen, we're gonna be tempted all the time. We're gonna be tempted all the time by new people that come into our lives and stuff like that. So again, the best thing I can say is just be transparent. Just tell this new girl, hey, listen, I appreciate all this. I think you're great. I am in a committed relationship, and I'm happy. And so, so I just be transparent. And if you don't feel comfortable, just casually drop hints like, hey, my girlfriend and I are doing this or whatever. And the other thing you can do is if it starts to get out of control, tell the other girl, but I would tell your partner too. Just be like, hey, this is going on. I just want you to know, I'm not interested. I'm blah, blah, blah. So that way you're getting the jump on it. If somebody asks, like, hey, did you see blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying you have to like immediately, oh my God, this has happened. Just, if it starts to get a little bit out of control, just say, hey, we're cool. Great. So that's my biggest piece of advice would just be transparent.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta be transparent about it. Kind of reminds me of a movie I watched a couple weeks ago. I forgot the name, but it had Alice Eve and Chris Evans in it. Chris Evans, who was popular for the Marvel Captain America movies and stuff like that. This is a more like different, like romantic movie. And there's a scene where she's talking about where she's in town, her boyfriend's in London, right? And they're having a conversation. They meet up. It's the love at first sight type thing when you meet somebody, but you're in a relationship with someone else. And she's like, they're at this restaurant and they're having this deep conversation about their situations. And Chris Evans was coming off of divorce and stuff like that. So I'm trying to give the quick substance of what the movie was. And they're having a conversation. And she's like, is it possible to find everything you want, even though you're committed to somebody? Like implying that his character was what she wanted the whole time, even though she's with another dude. And Chris is like, and this is how I would say it too. I don't think you allow yourself to find perfection in somebody else if you have a bond with somebody.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. If you're with the person you're meant to be, then when those new car smell comes along and somebody that you think, oh man, she's cool, but I'm great,
Yeah, tempting is a real thing. It really is. But I believe, dude, I think some people are unwilling in the society to actually be transparent about what they want because either they lack the self-awareness of what the situation and dynamics are in that relationship, or like if you're trying to find perfection in somebody that you just met and they're resembling everything that you want, like you just met this person and you're already falling in love with them, even though you're committed to somebody, like you are just like reaching into waters that you got to dig yourself out of, because obviously something is pulling you into that direction. Obviously, something with the bond that you have with somebody else that you've been in a long relationship, or even if you're married with them, like something must be going wrong, because what part of the energy is dragging you towards that other person? Like what's
Right.
compelling you to get to that point? Um, with this situation where she knows that you have a girlfriend, you just gotta be upfront with it and not look back. And I think it's very important for people to sometimes take a step back and look at yourself in the mirror and ask, what do you want? And
Right.
assess your situation. Because, yeah, I could say I have a girlfriend, but do I love her? Do I actually think I'm going to be with her in a couple of years? Everybody's in different predicaments. Like, I'm more than proud and happier than I could be that my guy here is going to be getting married soon, and he's engaged, and he's got his lovely fiance, and I could be happier for him, you know. But Brett Carter found his person. You have to go about it your way. When you know, you just know. Like, you don't have to second guess it. You don't have to think. Even if you don't have to think about it, that's when you know that's your person. So,
Right. Agreed.
yes.
And
So,
yeah, I'm very happy, and I met my person in a completely crazy, strange situation, but it just you just never know, and I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to getting married next summer, and it's going to be terrific. But I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you very much.
oh, no problem, my man. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to Chris and Mike for some awesome questions this week for the Good Birds Q&A session. As always, if you have any questions for myself or the man, the myth, the legend, the director of operations himself, Mr. Engaged, Brother Carter, hit us up either at Derek Stott or at Josh Lopez Media here on the Hoots Podcast. All right, Brother Carter, what's up next?
Let's go. All right, let's transition to this week in WWE. I didn't have a chance to watch SmackDown or Raw this week.
Yes.
So I just, I kind of caught up on just by watching the top 10 moments of both shows that the videos that WWE puts out. So, so Josh, I'm gonna let's start with SmackDown this week, and I'm gonna start with you first. What did you like about SmackDown this week, and what about SmackDown really stuck out to you?
Well, outside of SmackDown being in Orlando, the best place on God's green earth, maybe outside of Canada. By the way, can you bring me?
It's definitely Orlando is way better than Canada. You're good.
Can you bring me to Canada? Brother Carter, can you bring me to
Sure.
Canada?
Let's go. It'll be fun.
I'm being serious. I'm not joking.
All
right, let's do it. I've never been to Canada before, so I actually would love to take the voyage out there, if you will.
It's very nice.
SmackDown this past week was at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. I remember going down there for WrestleMania 33, and they had this. The name of the restaurant is escaped me, but it's like really like right around the corner from it. It was some of the best food I had in the entire world. They had a very good restaurant down there on Rush Street. That's where the street is for the Amway. So anyway, SmackDown started off with Pat McAfee.
Yes.
His upcoming match with Baron Corbin, which I think will be a lot of fun at SummerSlam. And again, it's like I could be a broken record. You can hear this on a million shows, but the truth is the truth. Pat McAfee is a national treasure, and just how he carries himself in the microphone, and everybody's not wanting him, and they acknowledge how good he is and what he does. I'm so excited not only for McAfee for this that they're having a match at SummerSlam, but also for Baron Corbin too, because he's so underrated and underappreciated for what he's done in this era of WWE, and I'm just very excited for what they have in store for tomorrow and then going into SummerSlam.
Yeah, I love Pat McAfee. He's he's national. I hope honestly that he could get a mid-card title. I think that'd be kind of cool. You put the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title on him at some point. Though it'd be a tough sell for him beating Gunther right now because, good Lord, Good Lord, Gunther is awesome. But yeah, no, I'm excited about this Pat McAfee. Anytime I get to see Pat McAfee wrestle, I'm very excited about it. He hasn't had a bad match in the company.
No.
He did great with Adam Cole. He did great with Austin Theory. So I don't expect anything different from this. He did great with all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to this.
And you got to think about the different parameters about this type of match. You're not expecting Steamboat and Savage. Like Baron Corbin's probably going to dominate the majority of the match, and Pat's going to have to fight from underneath and to see what he can pull off there. But I'm curious to see how they go about that match. Should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked about SmackDown this week was the emphasis on the younger talent and having Paul Heyman sweep in where you could have the Roman Reigns aspect, even though he was not on the show this past week. So one of the big matches on the show on Friday was Austin Theory and Madcap Moss. And I thought this was a nice featured match, and they had some time into it. It was like a 2-second match. It was very, very good. Austin Theory lost via disqualification. Madcap was about to win. He hit him with the briefcase.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that match, and it was a really good. What do I say on the show all the time, Brother Carter, about maximizing your TV time?
Absolutely.
Madcap Moss did that to the team this past week, and Theory's going up the Rampway. Out comes Sami Zayn. Zuri and Zayn have been having some backstage interactions and stuff like that. Zayn's still trying to convince himself that he's part of the bloodline, which I think is hilarious. And Theory's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" And out come the Usos, and Theory just starts backpedaling. Moss tosses him into the timekeepers area. That was cool. What else for SmackDown on your end that you saw that stood out to you?
I really liked, and I'm just kind of reviewing the transcript that you can find at prowrestlingtranscriptions.com. That's actually where I'm looking at my information, just to remind me about that. Looking at this, it looks like we might be seeing a feud eventually between Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther, and that could be fun. I like that. It looks like Gunther has taken out all his frustrations on Ludwig Kaiser. So maybe Kaiser will end up winning the Intercontinental Championship, which I'd be okay with. That'd be cool. It looks like we might get another Gunther Shinsuke Nakamura feud coming up or something like that. Maybe they could compete for the Intercontinental Championship. I'd be okay with that match too. That would be really good. Lacey Evans cuts another great promo.
Yes.
Thought that was great. I did see that. And in a kind of unexpected move to close the show, we get the return of that JEFF, JARRETT in Nashville, Tennessee. That just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I wonder if he's going to smack it. Yeah, it makes sense. I wonder if he's going to call anybody slap nuts or anything like that, or he's going to whack somebody with the guitar or something like that. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, it's kind of out of nowhere, but okay, cool. So I think that's kind of the big news. But yeah, it looked like some good promos and stuff like that. Looked like Paul Heyman was Paul Heyman trying to recruit, or were people searching out Paul Heyman?
No, it was this is what I was talking about weaving in Roman Reigns into this show where Theory's been teasing about cashing in the briefcase after the last man standing match. Paul Heyman passively, aggressively puts Theory over and talks about his potential and stuff like that. Maybe hinted about Theory said that maybe Heyman could be his special counsel after he catches in, stuff like that. And then he talked, he threw the passive aggressive towards Theory, but before Moss went to the ring for his entrance, Heyman's basically being like, "Hey, if you could beat up Austin Theory for us, your future looks bright for you," kind of that type of thing. So I liked how that was implemented. Honestly, I thought SmackDown for me was a really good show due to the fact that a lot of these TV shows going into a SummerSlam show is more like plot points, and they're not always like must see or whatever. But when you have shows like this where you have character development and the stuff like Lacey Evans that you said, or Liv Morgan having a competitive match with Natalya and getting her stuff out there, I just liked a lot that I saw the emphasis of the younger talent on the roster, and I thought that was pretty cool.
One other thing I'll mention, Josh, and then we can switch over to Raw. So I did get a chance 2 weeks ago when the tribal chief, our tribal chief, the head of the table, when he made his return, the crowd popped for him. So, like, you're telling me Roman Reigns isn't like the most over superstar in the world right now? He's got the best entrance music. He's got an incredible presentation. The crowd loves him. Like, I've went back and watched his entrance. I didn't watch the promo. I just watched his entrance because I'm like, God, it's so good. Like that is the measuring stick of everything, not anything else, which we'll get to. But yeah, you know, let's compare main event talent. Roman Reigns versus who's the main eventer in the other show? Moxley?
Wheeler, Utah.
Anyways, and I know that might not be a fair comparison because I know a lot of AEW's top talent is hurt right now, so that might not be fair. But we'll get to that. But okay, let's switch gears, Josh, and let's start talking about Raw this week. And once again, I'll defer to you since I didn't have a chance to check out the show. But what did you like from Raw this week? While I pull up the transcription here on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com.
Really quick, let's give a shout out to Lacey Evans as the waterfall of the week. Let's get that out of the way first. Raw this past Monday was in Tampa Bay, Florida. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Bianca Belair is just that girl. Like, she's killing it right now. Obviously, we all have, you know where me and Brother Carter stand when it comes to Charlotte Flair, but Bianca is just killing it right now. I want to get your thoughts on this because I brought this up last week. Don't you find it ironic that Becky Lynch is kind of channeling her inner Charlotte Flair, where how desperate she is to get title matches, where she desperately has to be in the title picture all the time, how she cuts her promos, how she's being condescending to everybody. Yep. I brought this up because it's an interesting topic about hate. You know, a lot of times when you like hate things, or maybe you hate somebody, sometimes in reality, what you hate is a reflection of yourself. Everybody knows that Becky hates Charlotte, Charlotte hates Becky, but don't you see the contrast between both of them?
Well, and I think when Charlotte does come back, you can absolutely use that as an angle. Like, Charlotte comes back and says, Becky, you just did everything I do. So once again, you are following in my footsteps. And you could totally do that as an angle. If that gets Becky back as a face or something like that, if they want to do a face turn for her at some point, I don't know, but that could be interesting. But but Becky Lynch, as we know, Josh, she's fantastic. The Raw women's division right now, Josh, is stacked. And look at the talent you've got over on Raw. You've got Asuka, you've got Becky Lynch, you've got Bianca Belair, Carmella starting to do some good stuff again.
Rhea Ripley.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. So, but here's the thing about the Raw women's division, Josh, which I kind of don't like, is it's separated into two clear tiers of the women's division, right? You've got your upper five. Well, and Carmella's Carmella kind of floats, but she's kind of in that upper five. But then you've got everybody else who's but then you've kind of got everybody else who's kind of messing around with this 24/7 championship, which is another reason why I think you got to get this go. Like, they put Alexa Bliss in there, and I'm like, she's better than that, you know? I think Alexa Bliss is way better than that. And I'm kind of curious, Josh. Alexa Bliss seems to be kind of floating right now, kind of like unknown what we're going to do with her right now, because she's kind of toying the Lily thing, but not really. So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. You could kind of pinpoint like which performers are going to switch brands when the draft comes up.
Yeah.
Why are you going to push somebody into a feud with Bianca if you know you're going to put her in a different brand, you know?
Right. Well, but here's the other thing, Josh. It seems like they're ending the brand split because now we're seeing a lot of superstars do some crossover. So it might be finally taught. And you've been saying this for years that the brand split needs to end.
Yeah, this should. It should have ended 2 years ago. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. The 24/7 stuff is not for me anymore. But it's like part of the show where it's just a shoulder shrug for me. And this is the thing that I always have to remind people when we talk about WWE. Is there stuff that me and Brett Carter could do without? Yes, but here's the thing: WWE has an identity, and we know what show we're watching. Yeah. That's the difference.
We know what storylines are going to be developed the following week.
We know what we're getting into. That's the thing.
We have a reason to tune in.
That's the funny thing about Twitter and stuff. When I always see like the hashtag WWE Logic, like if that's the bad thing, it's their company, their product. It's their logic. Like I don't understand why people make that as a talking point.
Because Josh, because they have to stick it to the man. They have to, oh God, we can't possibly it's got to be AEW. It's got to be AEW, a company that's going to be out of business.
Should we start an AEW Logic account?
No, AEW Botches takes care of that for us. Which, by the way, if you don't follow AEW Botches on Twitter, that's a great follow. Oh, it's so good.
By the way, I never thought I would get to this point, but when I start missing JBL on commentary, we have a problem, and this is something that we have to talk about. Yeah. I have enjoyed the bickering with Saxton and Graves in the past and over years, but right now, recently the last couple months, Graves has just lowered himself as the weeks gone by. Like he has a couple good liners here and there, and I think he is a good color commentator. But I don't know what it is recently. If Bucky Beard Boy is telling him to be more obnoxious and being more like the thing that bothers me is the over talking, and for him constantly cutting off Jimmy Smith and just condescending. I know he's playing the heel in the role, but like, can you let the guy call the fucking show? He's the play-by-play guy. Why are you shouting out, calling out moves? Like. All due respect to Grace and everything, but it's getting overbearing at times, and it's like, chill the fuck out.
You can tell a noticeable difference when Cole is working with Graves versus when Cole is working with McAfee. Like, it's a huge, difference. And like, much like you, Josh, I had so much respect for Corey Graves as a commentator. He was killing it, for when he got moved up to the. I think he started off he's always been on, he was on SmackDown and then they moved him over to Raw. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Graves has kind of regressed a little bit, and it's sad because, he's a good character. And listen, I have no problems. We all love to give it to Saxton. Like, that's hilarious whenever they give it to Saxton. He deserves it every week. But yeah, it's I agree with you, Josh. It's just unfortunate to see what's happening with Corey Graves. But okay, let's continue on with what's been happening on Raw. Looks like Bianca Belair, of course, is doing great stuff. I know we probably shouldn't get into this. We may have to get longs, but Titus O'Neil gave another ambassador speech, and I know a lot of people immediately started attacking it like, okay, this is WWE PR's department trying to save face and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if we want to get into that. I don't think we have time to get into that right now. We should probably see a little bit how all this Vince McMahon stuff plays out. Go ahead.
But look, again, Titus O'Neil is from Tampa. He's a Tampa Bay guy. Like, if that's your only takeaways, Vince McMahon, like, you're just looking for shit to bitch about. But go ahead.
Okay. I like Finn Balor and Damian Priest doing great stuff with Judgment Day. I know a lot of they've been doing these vignettes over the last few weeks. When the first vignette came out, I think it started at Hell in a Cell. I first thought it was going to be Bray Wyatt, but a lot of people are saying it's going to be Edge making his return to challenge. And if you look at kind of the little Easter eggs in the promos, that makes sense to me, having Edge come back. And maybe we'll see that at SummerSlam. Maybe they'll kind of do that on Raw this week, and we'll see what happens with that. So that's that. We'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, shout out to Rey Mysterio, his 20th anniversary celebration coming up this week on Raw. So that's going to be terrific to see. I'm looking forward to that. Okay. I got to give props to Ezekiel, man. When this first started, I was just kind of like, as many people were, we were kind of like, okay, fine. Now, and a lot of that has to do with Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens has made this feud with Ezekiel incredible. But Zeke is so funny, man. Oh my God, he's so entertaining. And what I like about this too is he can now play two characters.
Yeah.
Like he can do both Ezekiel or Elias, whatever they want to do with that.
Hey, let's not forget about Elrod too.
And Elrod, if they want to do, it's the three faces of Foley in modern times. It's hilarious. So I love it. I think all that stuff is great. Let's see. Going forward, the other thing that I've been most intrigued about recently has been where was it? The Street Profits are killing it right now. It's just fantastic. I hope that after SummerSlam, I think I could see Angelo Dawkins turning on Montez Ford, with Dawkins being the heel and Montez Ford being the babyface with this. Because we've said this many times on this program, Josh. Montez Ford is the superstar of that group, no doubt about it. But I think they're ready for Montez Ford to do a singles run, and I hope that happens after SummerSlam. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like what they're going on with Street Profits. I don't think Angelo Dawkins gets enough respect, though.
Same.
I think a lot of people are just rushing to split up the group just to have Montez have his singles run, and I think that'll come in time. But let's not treat Angelo Dawkins like Marty Jannetty, because I think he's good for what he does. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe there are so many DQs this week." DQ, SmeQ, like it's like. It's a TV show. Like I think a lot of people with happy with AEW is like convinced that every match on TV needs to have a clean finish. No, then what's the purpose of continuing a feud if I see somebody beat them clean? Like Darby Allin lost to Brody King last night clean, and then now what? We're gonna get House of Black against Sting and Darby Allin, and then Darby and Sting get their victory back. Like, come on. So the whole arguments about DQ finishes and stuff like that. Hey, you got the show on in the background?
No. But I just because I got some breaking news in, Josh, some NFL news coming in. That's just coming through the wire. Kyler Murray has signed an extension with the Arizona Cardinals. $230.5 million, including 160 guaranteed. Arizona's locking up Kyler Murray. They finally got a deal done.
A lot of stat padding. Hopefully, he doesn't become the Matt Stafford of the West Coast.
Yes. Anyways, I'm sorry, Josh, for my distraction. I just saw that news coming in over the news wire, so I had to get that in there. Okay. Side note, I'll get your brief comments on this, Josh, because I know we're talking about this. I think Kyler Murray is an excellent quarterback. I think that he has potential to be great. I don't know if he deserves that much money. We'll have to see how it plays out, especially since he's lost some of his receiving core. So we'll see. But also, hey, congrats to Kyler for getting that money. You know, I'm always all about people getting paid. So any brief thoughts on that?
I'm happy when players get paid, and I'm all for that. He does have a lot of highlight reels, but I need to see a lot more from him. That playoff performance last year was embarrassing, and I don't want the Cardinals to start becoming like the Lions, where you have Matthew Stafford there every year. He has a lot of stats, but you ain't winning shit. So I hope it works out for them, and he got his money, so maybe he can stop acting like I'm saying this as a millennial too, but I want to do something like this. Like, can athletes stop scrapping things off their social media from the team whenever they get butthurt over something? Right. Like, it's so lame and corny. But because let's go back. Go ahead.
Yeah, just the last thing I'll say about it. He's now the second highest paid quarterback with an average of $46.1 million a year.
Wow.
Okay. Crazy.
Yeah.
Busy. Okay.
Go ahead. I just want to mention a couple things from Raw. Like you said,
I was going to say two other things I wanted to mention from Raw, Josh. Number one, I'm happy to see Dolph Ziggler back. That's great to do a little program with Austin Theory. He could be another one that throws a wrench into this. And not necessarily Bobby Lashley, but it could be Dolph Ziggler that throws a wrench into this with Austin Theory. So I don't know what the payoff is for that. I don't know what the plan is with WWE. I also hope we see Robert Roode back at some point soon, because I've missed the Dirty Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a couple things that stood out to me for Raw this week. A couple of matches. Priest beating Rey Mysterio, I thought was pretty cool. So it's a nice little match there. Enjoyed Seth Rollins and Ezekiel. I thought that was a good match. Despite Brianna Alvarez calling it the most boring TV match in months. And then
doesn't matter.
I really, if you guys go back, you should check out the promo with Austin Theory and AJ Styles. I thought that was really good. And then their match was pretty good after that. And then I guess we can wrap it up with this and talk about Logan Paul.
Yes.
And the closing out. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I've always thought Logan Paul was entertaining. I thought he did a decent job at WrestleMania. If they were going to bring back somebody, I would have actually hoped they could have bring back Bad Bunny, because he's been one of my favorite, and he could be doing stuff with his music and stuff, and that's fine. Because Bad Bunny's been one of my favorite celebrities that's come in over the last couple of years. He was a natural. He was fantastic. But we'll see. I don't know if they should have given it the main event slot, but fine. It is what it is. And I think we'll get a decent match between the two of them at SummerSlam. We'll just because Miz will be able to carry it, because he's another underrated performer. I think is the Miz. He's just, everything he does is fantastic. So we'll see what happens with that. I thought the promo was fine. It wasn't like anything that is must see, but it was fine, and we'll see where it goes over the next couple weeks.
Don't you talk down the most must-see superstar. By the way, I don't know about you, but Maurice did Miz no favors bringing up the tiny balls stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now they made a t-shirt out of his old "Hey, I'm awesome" t-shirt. He's like, I got massive balls.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh man. Final question, Josh, and then we'll wrap up, and then I'll let you talk about NXT and anything you want to talk about. Where does AJ Styles go from here? Because he seems like he's kind of floating right now, and he doesn't have a SummerSlam match yet, does he?
No, not now.
I kind of get worried about that, because we all know how good AJ Styles is, and certainly one of the best of all time. But we'll see where he goes from here. I just don't know if what WWE is doing with AJ Styles right now. What do you think?
I just wonder. Why am I getting an echo? It's weird.
Oh, you're getting an echo? Oh, interesting. Yeah. I hear you fine.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that with AJ Styles, I think he's probably a victim of Roman having both titles right now. Kind of similar to Kevin Owens as well. But who knows? Maybe AJ can find something. Maybe he moves over to SmackDown or something. I'm not really sure. But for whatever reason, he seems like he can't get off the snide, or whenever the big matches come up, he's just been losing. Right. So he's still getting on TV, and he's still a big part of the show. It's just like maybe this is part of his story right now. Who knows? Maybe before you know it, maybe Roman and AJ have a feud again. That was a lot of fun a couple years ago. So I'm not losing hope on AJ Styles, but it's kind of interesting that he doesn't have a match for SummerSlam this year.
Do you think it's time to get back to two separate titles?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. They've got to figure out what they're going to do with that, because there's no major who's the major champion on Raw right now? Bobby Lashley?
Yes.
Fine.
No, I actually say Bianca Belair is the major champion.
Oh, good call. Good call. Yeah, it is Bianca Belair. She is the major champion on Raw right now. Which great. No problems with that. Mm-hmm. But so we'll see. But Josh, I'm going to turn things over to you and let you talk about NXT. If you want to talk about NXT UK, if you want to do some stuff with the New Japan, what's going on with that? Anything you want to talk about? And then we'll get into the main event segment. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yes. I'm going to mention this. TV 14. That's the big topic everybody's talking about this week, about TV 14. Oh, we're getting back to TV 14.
We do need to talk about this.
You have two sides of the argument where people are like, oh, it's not going to change anything, and they want to be party poopers about it. And then this is where the side I'm in. I don't give a crap whether a show's rated PG, G, 13, 14, MA, rated R, NC 17, whatever rating you want to use for it. I just find it funny still, even in 2022, that people dictate their enjoyment on wrestling on whether the show is rated TV 14 or PG. For me, I don't care. I don't need excessive swearing or blood for me to be sold on a wrestling show, you know? But that's just me. I know a lot of people are excited about the potential about going back to TV 14. I think in some ways the Attitude Era was overrated. I think for substance and quality of in-ring wrestling, the Ruthless Aggression Era tops the Attitude Era when it comes from a wrestling point of view. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, your ratings and your storylines and all that, but that gets to that argument. Are you all about wrestling or are you all about storylines? I like the Ruthless Aggression Era because it was a mixture of both. Attitude Era was just about, okay, let's have a hardcore match here. Let's do a bikini match here. Let's do some swearing here. We'll mix in Austin and McMahon so we keep people's attentions on the show. I don't think my stance on it saying that TV 14 won't change anything. It's just people trying to justify their actions and saying, "Oh, WWE's at an all-time low product-wise." You just get those people that are just gonna talk shit, just to talk shit. So, like for me, I don't care that it's going back to TV 14. I don't.
Yeah, my initial thought was this, and I've since read some reports about this. My initial thought was, I hope this is not a reaction to AEW. That was the first thing I thought of, was like, oh no, WWE starting to feel pressure from AEW, which I don't know why they should, because AEW is going to be out of business in 5 years. But you never know. Some of the higher ups in WWE might have started to hit the panic button because AEW is starting to get some traction, and they said, well, we got to compete. We got to do TV 14. So that was my initial thought. Since going back, I've read some reports that this is actually what the USA Network wants. So, if it's what I've heard is that Raw will be TV 14 and SmackDown will be PG because SmackDown's on Fox and it's got a more, and that could help dictate what happens with the brand split too. You get your more TV 14 performers on Raw and your more PG performers on SmackDown. So that was my initial thought. So that was the only thing that I would say. If it's fine, I just hope that it doesn't. Again, I just don't want it to become like cussing for the sake of cussing and, blood and hardcore matches for the sake of blood and hardcore matches. I don't think they'll do that. That's just my only worry. And that was why I didn't want that to be the case. That if it goes to TV 14 is just to, I just don't want it to become senseless TV 14 stuff for the sense of TV 14 stuff. And I want them to be able to do something with their characters that gets a little bit more edgy. That's fine. But not just stupid, senseless things that are just there for the sake of it,
Right.
So we'll see what happens, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how things play out, but I don't feel like you have to have a TV 14 show just to be a good show. That's Correct. Just my opinion. So, let's get to it. I'll get to NXT UK. Get your little water break before we get to go for what those were on AEW. Let's see here. Let's get my stuff situated here. NXT UK. By the way, if you haven't watched last week's episode, I really recommend you guys go check it out. Mark Coffey become the NXT UK Heritage Cup champion, beating Noam Dar in a fantastic match. It was my favorite match for last week. And it was fantastic to type out, so that was a lot of fun. Also on the program this week, we have Josh Morrell taking on Dave Mastiff. Also, we got Isla Dawn taking on the beautiful Fallon Henley on NXT UK today as well. And don't forget, this week's main event will be Trent Seven against Sam Gradwell. So that should be some interesting matches on that end. NXT UK, a fun show to watch. Very, very enjoyable. I recommend you guys check it out for yourselves. really quick, let's get into the G1 Climax update. This will be really, really quick, so bear with me, guys. I'm going to get this damn song going here. Is it this one? Let's lower it a little bit. This song is awesome, by the way. They don't have a name for it, but all right, here we go. NJPW G1 Climax 32, Week 1 report here. Yes. Feel the energy of this song. So, the G1 just started this past Saturday in Hokkaido, or Sapporo, whatever you want to call it. We've had 3 events so far for the G1 Climax tournament, and as I said part of it, the G1 Climax will conclude on August 18th. So we got 15 more shows to go, and excited covered around the wrestling journey. But for those who don't know, there's 28 wrestlers in the G1 this year. And then those are separated into 4 blocks as 7 performers. And the winners of those blocks will fight each other in the semifinals, with those winners of those matches going into the finals in the G1. So, starting off with the A block here, as we get into New Japan Pro Wrestling. I want to get the standings first. So, let's go to the music here, actually, here. But, yeah, so we have right now for the current standings in the A block, we have Okada, Fale, and Yano with 2 points. Lawler, Lance Archer, Jonah, and Jeff Cobb have 0. Tom Lawler's the only competitor in the A block who hasn't had a match yet. That will change later on this weekend. B block, Jay White, Taichi, and Tamatanga had the first 2 points in the tournament, while Owens and Ishii and Sonata are at the bottom end with 0 points. On the C block, Hiroki Goto, Zack Sabre Jr., and Aaron Henare had 2 points, with Tanahashi, Kenta, and Naito with 0. Into the D block here, Will Ospreay, Rock Hard, Juice Robinson. Oh my God, what a terrible nickname. Juice Robinson was one of the more entertaining guys in New Japan. Now he's part of Bullet Club. Now he calls himself Rock Hard, Juice Robinson. My Lord, that's brutal. Bob Evans, Joe Dutch, whatever phrase you want to use. That's just brutal, man. Will Ospreay, Juice, and Yujiro have 2 points, with El Phantasmo, Takagi, and Finley with 0 points. The only performers in the G1 who haven't had a match yet for the tournament is Yoshihashi, Evil, the Great Khan, All Hail, and Filthy Tom Lawler. Coming up this weekend, we have a couple events at the Odo World Gymnasium in Tokyo. The tournament matches for that is Zack Sabre Jr. against Aaron Henare in the C block match. In the D block, we have Shingo against Yoshihashi, which should be a lot of fun. In the A block, we got Okada taking on Toru Yano. Jay White and Tomohiro Ishii will be the main event for the Saturday event. That should be one of the best matches of the tour so far, so I'm looking forward to that. On Sunday, July 24th, in the same building, for the D block, we have El Phantasmo against Yujiro Takahashi. A match I think people should check out here is Sonata and Taichi in the B block. Jeff Cobb will be taking on Bad Luck Fale in the A block. That's going to be a big hostile match. And then the main event of that show will be Tetsuya Naito against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Then we go to next week. They have 2 shows on Tuesday and then Wednesday at Corkin Hall. The matches for that show is Great Khan and Chase Owens, Evil against Kenta, Tom Lawler against Lance Archer. The main event that show is Juice Robinson and Dave Finlay. And then the show before we come back here next week for the podcast will be on the 27th. Will be Will Ospreay against Yujiro, Bad Luck Fale against Toru Yano, Goto against Aaron Hanari, and Ishii and Tama Tonga will main event. I'll tell you right now, just looking at this, there's a lot of matches I'm looking forward to, but that card for the offering on the Wednesday show, besides the main event, is pure hot garbage. that one's gonna be a tough one to sift through. But yeah, I gave you the updates as far as the standings are concerned. There's a lot of matches to look forward to. I think Ishii and Jay White could possibly be the match of the tournament so far, and hopefully he wins on Saturday because I need my guy to win the G1 this year. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. I think this is gonna be like 190 matches in total in this tour. And it's gonna be a lot of action, but a lot to type down. But make sure you follow along with my G1 coverage on ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. I made a reference sheet so you can follow along with the standings and also the match cards for upcoming events. So I put a lot of work into this. I've been my situation with the whole budget cuts stuff, but I've been trying my best to make sure I get the articles out for you guys, and it's exclusive to you. I'm not sharing it on any other site until I get back to my situation. So I'll still do the G1 for you guys in spite of what I've been dealing with. So I do want to thank all of you who have been checking out the articles, because I've been looking up on Google, and it's been some of those articles have been ranking pretty high, and that really means a lot to me that you guys have been checking out. Honestly, I can't thank you enough for that. So thank you guys.
That's awesome. Well, you do great work every time you do, Josh. Definitely follow Josh's work. He does a great job. But Josh, are you ready?
Yes.
It's time. It's time. Oh, it's time for the main event segment. And oh boy, is this going to be an epic episode of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? And Josh is going to get this bad boy started in a 3, 2, 1.
Beat your meat, 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 beat your meat.
Wait for it.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? That's great. I like that. Nice little Cry Me a River. I like that. Well done. Well, bravo.
I had to use it this week because it's Shark Week. Happy Shark Week, everybody.
Happy Shark Week, everybody. But Josh, what the hell is wrong with AEW? Or in this case, what isn't wrong with AEW? What can go wrong will go wrong with AEW. So let's get into it. Okay, there is one thing, Josh, that I liked about the show this week. One. And that was the FTR promo. I thought that was a really good promo. I like Dax Harwood talking about his daughter. I thought that was really cool. So I thought that was a great promo. It got me very intrigued for the match between them and the Briscoes this weekend. I had heard that they had a really terrific match. What was it, about like 2 months ago? I think it was a month or two ago. Yeah. And that was really, from what I didn't get to see it, but I heard it was an excellent, excellent match. So the 2 out of 3 falls match, that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's the only thing I liked about the show this week, Josh. A couple of the things I was indifferent about didn't bother me. But other than that, oh my God. We always say that we don't think Dynamite can go any lower. And they managed to surprise us and outdo themselves and write our segment for us every single fucking week. Oh my God. Josh, was there anything you liked from Dynamite this week?
Besides the part of the show where it was 8:59:59, that this was a complete and utter cesspool. By the way, I don't appreciate that this week's Dark was 14 matches and we had a 2-hour long AEW Dark that meant absolutely nothing this week. I mentioned this last week. Why doesn't AEW just call themselves Ring of Honor, since they're so fucking fixated on talking about Ring of Honor and giving the title to CM Punk because he was in Ring of Honor. Like, Tony, we get the drift. You are a Ring of Honor mark. We get the drill here. Just call your company Ring of Honor. No TV company is going to pick up Ring of Honor for itself. Just change AEW to Ring of Honor. You have the image, you got the logos. Just go with it. Nobody knows what AEW is. Look, you know how they did the whole angle yesterday where they had the rapper Kevin Gates punch Tony Nese? They had that all on TNT, right? I saw somebody in the comment section saying, man, WWE has another show? Even then, they're not even talking about AEW. They're still talking about WWE. Man, this show was the shits.
I'm surprised Tony Khan isn't in talks to buy CZW because that's what AEW has become. It's become a mix of WCW and CZW. That's what and it's run by a Mark who wants the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era to live again. That's what he wants. I'm surprised we don't have bra and panties matches or HLA on AEW television. I'm pretty sure that's coming though. But good Lord. Okay, let's get into it, Josh. Let's get into it. Okay, we opened the show with Darby Allin and Brody King. This angle, even though they didn't talk about it, they didn't, because the commentary team is a bunch of morons. They didn't talk about that on social media. Brody King attacked Darby Allin at some signings and stuff like that. But they didn't bring that up at all on their show. Like, that's a perfect way to set up the angle. Unless I missed it, but I don't remember them talking about it at all. But anyways, we get into this thing. Darby Allin, it's such a shame. Darby Allin is such a shame because he is never going to become anything relevant. He just wants to be a sideshow act. He wants to be that's just thrown around for no good reason. He wants to take stupid bumps that's going to end his career. Brody King pretty much tried to kill Darby Allin with his finishing move by dropping him on his head. You know, he just wants to be a stunt man, which is a shame because he could be a good wrestler. It just makes me so sad. So what did you think about that, Josh?
A couple things. I thought the match part of it was good outside of a couple spots that make the referee look stupid. There's no reason why you should be doing hanging sleeper holds for 10 seconds. The guy's against the turnbuckles. Make the damn count and let the guy go at 5. To your point about them not bringing up the whole social media thing, I just think the whole premise of why they got to this match was stupid. Even if you attack somebody at a mall or anywhere, is Brody King and Darby Allin something I need to see on TV? Like,
right.
Not really. And then their point they're making up on commentary. God, Shivani is like listening to it's like sitting and looking at drywall. That's what it's like for me hearing Tony Schiavone's commentary. And it's like he's talking about, oh, these guys have a past with each other, and that Darby came out to congratulate Brody King after his match with Jon Moxley, who nobody gave a shit about when that match happened a couple weeks ago. And it's like, you're really good telling me that I have to convince myself that House of Black is supposed to be this terrifying group when you have Malachi Black backing away from Sting, and then Miro shows up just standing there. I get it. Black spit the black mist at Miro, and they try to paint the picture. Oh, is Miro mad at Black? Oh, will Miro join the House of Black? Here's my question. Does anybody give a fuck?
Right. Who cares? Who cares? And then so that's the first thing I wrote down, Josh. I think about this is who cares about Miro? What does he add anything to this? I will say a match between Malachi Black and Sting could be kind of cool, I guess. I mean, because listen, we have to give credit where credit is due. Sting has done great work. Whenever he has competed and when he's wrestled, he's actually done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm not going to take anything away from Sting. My issue is not with Sting. It's just the double standards that we have with wrestling where if Goldberg beats Bray Wyatt, it's the end of the world. But if Sting has a competitive match with Malachi Black, oh, this is great for Malachi Black. Does anybody believe that House of Black is going to benefit from any program with Darby Allin and Sting, knowing damn well they're going to take the L to Sting and Darby Allin? That's my problem. And people are going to just be like, oh, this is great storyline, great continuity, all this stuff. It's like, who are you lying to?
Give me a break. Okay, Moving on, we get Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley, who I know you're a huge fan of, Josh. You're a huge fan of Moxley, against Best Friends, who I don't give two flying shits about anymore. So here's what I wrote down about this match, Josh. Orange Cassidy decides to join the group on commentary. He sounds like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead whenever he talks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's get into this because this is one of the days of the show that pissed me off the most.
Okay.
So we got the Jay Cutler of professional wrestling, Jon Moxley against with Wheeler Useless. We got William Regal in pockets on commentary. By the way, is it a glaring omission that JR can't do 2 hours of TV anymore? So they have to have him have a sympathy entrance now. We have to hear Taz the entire show now. It's so funny to me. And then they have Regal and pockets on commentary to put this thing over. You have what? They're all baby faces. Am I correct? The last time I checked, Best Friends are baby faces.
Yeah, I think so. Well, if they're with Cassidy, who apparently is besides Danhausen, is the most over guy in the company. Good Lord. So you got Cassidy.
Like I told you yesterday, wouldn't it be a Jon Moxley reign when all his matches on TV are in the middle of the card?
Of course.
Moxley can't start the second hour. Moxley can't kick off the show. It's always Jon Moxley in that second match. That second match that goes on and on and on. You got a tag match that I could be wrong. It went almost 20 minutes, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So we have Fuck Taylor, who looks like he just came back from rehab, and Trent Beretta, and it's like nobody cared. Nobody gave two shits. And I'm sorry again, all due respect to Wheeler Yuta and his wrestling skills, he's generic as shit. I don't know who's more generic, him or Times New Roman font. Like
Kip Sabian. It's Kip Sabian. It's between Kip Sabian and Wheeler Yuta for the most generic wrestler of all time.
Oh my God. No, this is another match. Nobody got over. Nobody gave a shit. I'm supposed to believe that they're heels because Trent Beretta's butthurt towards Wheeler Yuta. Like, come on, man. There's no reason why that match went 20 minutes.
I don't know. I don't care. Okay. Then we get a promo with Swerve and Keith Lee doing their celebration or whatever. It was fine, I guess. I Smart Mark Sterling needs to go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. I can't stand that guy anymore. He's annoying. But this was fine, I guess. I guess Tony Schiavone has taken over the role of Mean Gene Okerlund and is now going to be the interviewer for all these things, but fine. I thought Swerve and Swerve and Keith Lee their mic skills are okay, I guess? Question mark. I don't know where everybody goes from here. I don't know. I just thought this whole thing was kind of meh. And they tried to get a cheap prop from a rapper who I actually don't know who this rapper is, but apparently he's a big deal. So props to them for maybe being able to get him there. But I don't know. I thought this was just kind of meh.
Yeah, I'm not vibing with today's rap people, but I know who Kevin Gates is, and he's mostly known more for his memes than he is his music. Yeah, like cool. I mentioned it last week. It was kind of odd that they put the tag titles on them, knowing when like Strickland is probably going to turn on Keith Lee sooner or later. So I just don't know why they put the titles on them. And then the whole thing with Mark Sterling and Tony Nese was such a waste of fucking time. Nobody cares about him. Nobody cares about Tony Nese, another generic wrestler on the roster. We got 3 former WWE guys. Let's put them in a segment and let's have Schiavone because we need more Schiavone on our TV. There's a couple of things on the show too that this was odd to me. Do you recognize who produces these backstage segments? Because these backstage interviews are useless. Nobody cares. You had the Butcher and the Baker get into a brawl with John Silver and Alex Reynolds, and now Heyman Page and John Silver's gonna fight the Butcher and the Blade on Rampage. Did anybody care?
Josh, wasn't Hangman Page supposed to be this big savior after his long feud with Twinkle Toes? I mean, and now look where he's regressed to. He gets 10 seconds backstage with the Dark Order. Like,
by the way, I want to give a shout out to David LaGreca for saying that last night's Dynamite was a pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the ass kissing they do on that Tony Khan segment on Busted Open is embarrassing. Go ahead, Brookhart. What's next here?
Okay. Josh, the Internet Wrestling Marks have determined that Tony Khan is the Booker of the Year, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Can you please explain to me the payoff of the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus Christian Cage feud? So, here's what I will say. I thought that the actual match portion of it was exactly what it needed to be if that's how they're going to develop that story.
Yeah.
I have no problems with that. I thought Luchasaurus looked good, actually. I thought he actually, you get a little, you make him a little bit, darker and just make him look like a wrecking machine. I have no problems with that. And then Christian Cage comes in and steals the win. I thought all of that was great. If they would have stopped it right there, I would have been very happy with that segment and said, that was good. That was exactly what that needed to be. Here comes Jungle Boy running down. And immediately Luchasaurus just flips. And now they're back together. And he starts chasing Christian Cage away after like 3 weeks. What's the payoff? That's your payoff for this? And now we're going to get a match, but probably on a random episode of Dynamite between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. And that's going to end that feud because I don't think they can make this last until All Out. But you're telling me that is the Booker of the Year paying off probably the most interesting storyline in AEW right now.
No,
what, Josh?
They'll stretch it out to All Out. They will. Not even that. What about the JoJo Dutch camera work when Jungle Boy made his entrance? And they had this shot on Christian, and they're not even looking at the stage for Jungle Boy to make his entrance properly. Jungle Boy comes out with a blank expression on his face. And all we got was him running after a 47-year-old man. Wow. He chased a midlifer around an arena. Awesome. Just awesome. This riveting shit.
Josh, this was brutal. This was absolutely brutal. They've killed Christian Cage's momentum in about 2 minutes. It's gone. I now don't care about Christian Cage. I'm not going to care about Christian Cage anymore. And that sucks because he was the best part of their show for the last 3 weeks.
By the way, Varsity Blondes buried.
Yep. But Josh, they're the number 5 ranked tag team, and they got destroyed by Luchasaurus in about 3 minutes. Oh my God!
These useless victories on Dark. All right,
they may as well call Dynamite Dark now because that's what it's game. Moving on. We talked earlier about this, but Ricky Starks needs to get the far away from AEW as he possibly can. He gets a match with Cole Carter. I have no idea who Cole Carter is, but apparently he gets an FTW title shot. Do you know who this person is?
Yes, in this week's Let's Mention WWE segment, let's bring in somebody who was the henchman for Tony D'Angelo on NXT because basically what happened, Cole Carter got some issues outside the ring during a house show in NXT. He got fired. By the way, I just found it interesting. You could get fired for a reason that we don't have all the context clues to. It was something major to the point where they cut the guy from his contract. And here's your reward. Come to AEW, get a title shot on TV. Just get rewarded because on NXT, Tony D'Angelo said that Cole Carter is now swimming with the fishes. Now we are on Shark Week. Now he's swimming with sharks. And this is this week's edition of Let's Bring Something Up that has to do with WWE. So here's Cole Carter having this match against Ricky Starks. Again, another match on Dynamite nobody gave a shit about. And by the way, why was this match 2 segments long?
I don't know. I mean, there was a couple moves. I did write down that there was a cool move. What was that? Cole Carter had a pretty cool move. I can't remember what it was near the end of the match. Whatever that was. I was like, yeah. No, it was right before that. He did kind of like this thing and he dropped him down. I can't remember what happened, but it was really cool.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. Nice. No, it was right before he went up for the 450. Whatever move he did on Ricky Starks before that, I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that.
He's a good athlete and a good wrestler. I'm not taking that away from him, but just in general, nobody cared about that match whatsoever.
But then what is Ricky Starks' reward? He gets to face Danhausen next week. And the crowd, Josh, when his music hit, the crowd went batshit crazy for Danhausen.
Yeah.
Can you explain this to me? I don't get it.
Yeah. So basically what's going to happen here is that this is to lure a way to have Hook go after Ricky Starks and Ricky Starks leads Team Taz. That's the angle we're going here because you got Hookhausen. Hook hasn't been associating himself with Team Taz for a while since he went off on his singles run. This is all a way for Hook to get the FTW title. Hey, cool. I get it. He's going after his dad's title and all that. And I think that could be pretty cool and all. But again, how does Ricky Starks benefit from all of this? You know, Danhausen. It was bad enough we had fucking Wardlow have an 18-minute match with Pockets last week. It took, again, Brock Carter, it took Wardlow 18 minutes to beat Pockets last week.
Oh my God. And then Wardlow wasn't on TV this week. He wasn't even mentioned. And he's a TNT champion. And they didn't even mention him this week. Oh,
nowhere to be found.
No. Okay, going on. Let's see. Then we get to the obligatory women's match in the same spot every week.
Yep.
It is very obvious that Jade Cargill was better than everybody in that match. She is the superstar. I don't get what the hype over Willow Nightingale is. She's awful. I thought this match was incredibly sloppy, which is unfortunate too, because I understand Kiera Hogan has some potential, but she was a complete disaster. Athena, I now am seeing why she got cut from WWE. She was brutal in this, but for some reason she's Tony Khan's, flavor of the week or whatever. So she gets a TBS title shot. There's another one that needs to get as far away from AEW as possible is Jade Cargill. Like, she is just being destroyed. And how is she not competing for the world championship? Like, she is clearly the best besides Thunder Rosa. I mean, that would be a hell of a match. Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa. I would love to see that. That would be fantastic. But this was sloppy. Jade Cargill is clearly better than everyone else. I didn't like this. What do you think, Josh?
This is not a good week for the AEW's women's division, but what week is? Whether it was this trios match that went way too long, or it wasn't the trios match. This is a regular tag. Either way, the matches went too long, in my opinion. But not only that, again, why are we still doing Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter? I thought we got past that already.
I have no idea.
Talk about a division in ruins. Jesus Christ.
That was awful. So this was good.
Athena's
but Josh, nothing could top the awfulness of our main event. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Really quick. I want to run over these stuff for the solder matches really quick because
go ahead.
We have Allison Kay against Willow Nightingale. Here's what they're calling the pre-show for Death for the Solder on Saturday. 0 hour. Yeah, it's kind of like
that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever they want to call their pre-show, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. Whatever.
All right, so we have Allison Kay against Willow Nightingale in the pre-show. Probably see Allison Kay win. We have The Righteous, Vincent Bateman, and Dutch. Never heard of them. Taking on Dalton Castle and the boys for Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. Probably go with The Righteous win there. Mercedes.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick, Josh. Do you like the idea of a 6-man of trios tag team titles?
I would if they had proper officiating, but in this case, no.
Okay, great.
We got Mercedes Martinez against Serena Deeb for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. I think Serena Deeb will beat Mercedes Martinez. FTR Briscoes. This is probably one of the few matches on the card I am looking forward to. FTR, I think, will retain over the Briscoes, but I would not be surprised if the Briscoes win either.
Is that for all the titles or just the Ring of Honor tag team titles?
Just the Ring of Honor tag team titles. I just think it's funny that Tony Khan is scared to have the Briscoes on TV, but you can have what we're going to talk about in a couple of seconds later. Wheeler Yuta against Daniel Garcia. Does that tickle your fancy? That match is going to be for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Are you excited for that?
That's something I could see on AEW Dark. Why would I care about this? It's a dark match on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Great.
Correct. I got Wheeler Yuta winning that one. Samoa Joe against Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. More people are more excited for Jay Lethal's match with Ric Flair than this match with Samoa Joe coming up on Saturday. I got Samoa Joe retaining here. This feud is sucked and it's gone way too long. Don't know why we hear next to nothing from Samoa Joe, not even a backstage interview. All we get is, since Samoa Joe can't show up, let's have Jay Lethal against Christopher Daniels on Rampage. Good God.
Here's the thing, Josh. I bet both of those will be good matches. Like, I bet they will be good matches, but, like, what's the payoff?
Right. Where's the story? Why should I care? And then finally, we got Jonathan Gresham putting the Ring of Honor World title on the line against Cesaro or Claudio Castagnoli. Again, the match should be fine, but you know what's happening here, right? Claudio's getting the world title to say he has
for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So the match would be fine and all that, but it's kind of a raw deal for Jonathan Gresham to have his first title defense on the pay-per-view in this AEW contingent of Ring of Honor, just for him to lose to the WWE guy. But I know Cesaro had to pass the Ring of Honor, but still, the point remains the same.
Right.
So that's Ring of Honor's Step Before Dishonor in Lowell, Massachusetts, coming up this Saturday. Get your tickets right now and buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you can get in for $5. It'll be fine. Okay, Josh, let's get into it. The barbed wire everywhere death match, or whatever it was called, between Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. It started with Justin Roberts having barbed wire on his microphone. That's what we were starting this off with. So they do the Okay, so the Jericho Appreciation Society gets in a shark cage. They try to make a big deal out of all of this, but as we saw later in the match, they could have walked out of the cage. They slipped through the cage when the cage door wouldn't open because Ty Conti can't open a fucking lock. How does this make sense?
Why didn't they rehearse this in the first place?
God. Oh my God. Okay, so there's that, and that happened later in the match, but okay. 30 seconds into the match, you can clearly see Chris Jericho blading himself. Like, you go back and watch. You can point out the moment. It was like after the first bump, you could point out the moment where Jericho bladed. Like, after Kingston whacked him with the barbed wire microphone, you see Chris Jericho clearly blading. And then off we go to the races. And it's just downhill from here. I mean, they made these two guys look like morons, absolute morons. And then Ty Conti turns on Anna and joins with Anna Jay or whatever, and everyone's like, "I was indifferent to this. Like, what? Okay, I have no emotional investment in this. What's the deal? I didn't even realize they were fighting. Like, what the hell?" Again, long-term storytelling making a ton of sense, pal. Like, okay, she turned. Fine. And Ruby Soho's sitting there looking like a complete idiot by ringside, having absolutely no, I don't know why she's getting involved with this. Probably because there's nothing else for her to do because she's a complete bust. WWE was right getting rid of her. And And then it just spirals downhill from there. And you got the Blackpool Combat Club coming up for some stupid reason. They butchered the entire ending with botch after botch after botch, a missed elbow. And then, like, they tried to do this flippy thing with, and Sammy Guevara is back for some reason. And now Josh, this was a disgrace from beginning to end. It made professional wrestlers look like sideshow freaks. It's basically CZW on free television. And by the end of it, you could even tell the crowd was like, okay, this is dumb. Like, the crowd was, they catered to this crowd who wants to, see people bite the ears off of bats at the county fair, right? Like the sideshow. They even turned those fans off. So, Josh, this was brutal. It was an embarrassment. I actually don't want to watch AEW anymore. I know we have to because of the segment, but I don't. If we didn't have the segment, Josh, this would have been the end. I have no interest in All Elite Wrestling anymore. This right here is going to be the end of AEW. I think this right here is going to be the beginning of the end of AEW. So, Josh, I am embarrassed for professional wrestling. Go ahead.
How can you try to grab a new viewer by having that match? How you do it?
Explain this. Explain this to new viewers and defend this in front of TV executives, Josh. We're in a meeting, right? Tony Khan's in a meeting with what'd you do on your program this week? Oh, dude, it was awesome. We had barbed wire everywhere and they were beating the shit out of each other with it.
Yeah, we had a sloppy death match with Discovery logos all over our ringside area and ring skirts.
To promote Shark Week.
Yeah, promote Shark Week. And if they think that's good corporate synergy, I really don't think they know what they're doing. But of course they don't know what they're doing because they never know what they're doing. Typing this out, I put this on Twitter last night. I don't know if you saw it or not. I thought the bar was low enough with the exploding sparkler death match with Jon Moxley and Teddy Olivier. But we reached a new low, Brother Carter. This was worse than that. Again, how many times do I have to say, get Chris Jericho off my fucking TV? It's not working.
Oh, Josh, he won.
Yeah.
He won. Now we get to do this. We get to do this again.
Yeah, when they whole build, this is going to be the final saga, the Jericho Kingston saga.
He won. So now we have to do this again. So unless the heels is the payoff and Eddie Kingston becomes relegated to nothing. Is that the payoff of this?
No, you know what the payoff this is Jericho fighting Daniel Bryan at All Out. This was all it was for, according to Seltzer, and I wouldn't put it past it because he's on the fucking creative team. So the whole gist of this is that they're gonna have Bryan Danielson get his revenge on Chris Jericho at All Out, and then Danielson gets in the feud with Eddie Kingston. I'm just throwing my hands up in the air at this point. It's like I don't want them to write our segment for us. I want to get to the point where we can just have a regular review of AEW like we do with WWE. We mention stuff we like and it's stuff that we don't, wherever, And it's like every week the bar gets lower and lower of the bullshit that we have to sit through, and shitty officiating and shitty commentary, and the fact that this clown 3 years in still doesn't know how to format a TV show, and the fact that you make your young performers come out and do these things and they make them look stupid because it's nice to have Anna Jay as a sex symbol come down to the ring, but does she make any difference to the sports entertainment, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves, the Jericho Appreciation site? What does she bring to the table to that group outside of her being best friends with Taikaze. Whoopity fucking do. And then, yes, Sammy Guevara come out barely 2.5 weeks after the Blood and Guts match. Oh, he's all fine. His douchebaggery stuff, he's all back and he's clean and he's 100% after his fall at Blood and Guts. He does the super kick. And then the sloppy brawl after the match, because we can't have AEW without an after-birth brawl. Do you see how sloppy was their Kisa was trying to do that spinning back fist after the match was over? And all that just to lead it. Okay, so Chris Jericho wins. All to have him be thrown into a fucking barbed wire spider web for a 10-second camera shot. That picture. Somebody please send that to me, please. If anybody out there. If anybody sends me the picture of Chris Jericho in that spider web, that now is the official picture of this segment. What the hell is wrong with AEW is in that final shot that we saw in Dynamite last night. This was bullshit. This is a waste of my time. The original Fyter Fest, which this name was named after the whole documentary they did on Netflix about the music festival that they robbed people of money. This is that, and then some. We are being robbed of professional wrestling, and this show sucks ass. It doesn't get better. It's nothing to look forward to. I'm sorry. I'm not looking forward to Ricky Starks against Danhausen. I'm not looking forward to having Thunder Rosa in a rematch on Dark from that happened a couple weeks ago. Nobody's going to give shit about that match. It's absolutely embarrassing. Why would NGF want to come back to this? Why?
Well, I would. What? Okay. Why would CM Punk want to come back to this? Why would Bryan Danielson want? Like, why would any of these top stars want to come back to this clown show, this freak show?
This goes on to everybody listening and watching this. Why would you want to go back to AEW?
Because you're a bloodthirsty heathen that just wants to see. Because you're a CZW fan. That's why you would want to come back to it. Because you are a CZW fan.
As Dave LaGreca said on Busted Open this week, this was your pay-per-view card on Fyter Fest. I'm glad we wasted 2 hours that we can't get back our life. On that note, that is what the hell is wrong with AEW this week.
You got it? Oh, let me get us out of here.
Yeah, go ahead.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. But all is right, Josh. The Painmaker is undefeated.
The beautiful irony. The beautiful irony.
Go ahead.
Yes. The beautiful irony of what happened last night is that much show happened, and this guy won an SB. Yep.
He leaves AEW, and what happens? He becomes the second most over wrestler in the world behind Roman Reigns. Interesting.
Josh, wait for Cornette's clips this week.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Well, and that is going to do it for episode 319 of the Hoots podcast. Thanks so much to everybody for checking out the show. Thanks for allowing me to host Josh this week. This was a ton of fun. We will be back next week with our SummerSlam predictions. And that'll be good leading up to SummerSlam weekend. Be sure to follow Josh on all of the social medias. You can follow him at Josh Lopez Media on Twitter, at Joshie Lopez 94. Also, be sure to check out Josh Lopez Music. I believe that's right. It is Josh on Instagram. So you can see his guitar covers. Bookmark Pro Wrestling Transcriptions.com, your one-stop shop for all things that you might have missed in the week of professional wrestling. You can follow me on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. You can also check me up on Instagram, Dereko06. Check out my work at WrestlingRumors.net. You can also check out my work at my website, DerekStoughton.com. And I want to thank everybody for checking out the show this week. Remember, be the authentic product that is yourself. Nobody dictates the course of your life but you. And just keep the faith, man, and just keep hanging in there. Whatever you're going through, you're going to make it. We've all made it through stuff, and you're going to make it too. So, for the nefarious Brother Adam, Joshie Lopez, I am Brother Carter, the Director of Operations, Derek Stoughton. We will see you next week for episode 320 of the Hoots podcast. Yes, sir.